Welcome to Friday Night Ghost Frights, a series of real, true experiences with the paranormal and the supernatural. Ghost tales that may frighten you in the depths of the night. Some may not believe the things I'm about to describe, but I assure you that everything I'm about to tell you is absolutely true. It is up to you, dear viewer, as to whether you believe me or not. In my paranormal career, I've had the distinct pleasure of working with very many talented people, psychics, empaths, technicians, and even remote drawers. Two of these people are associated with Haunted Road Media. One who has realized her ability for quite some time now, and one who is really starting to come into his own, although he has been a fantastic illustrator for many years. I'm first going to talk about Vanessa Hogel and her book Soulscapes, which is a collection of 20 psychic impressions. They are remote drawings of images, impressions that she's had in her mind, visions that she's seen, that she's put to paper, and have remarkably correlated to something that's been important to somebody else. I'll give you an example of one. Hello again. I have a very dear friend that I keep in touch with on social media. One day about a year ago, she and I were messaging back and forth when I had a visitor. I began to tell her what I was hearing and seeing. I told her his name, how he died, and he kept having me listen to the song Running with the Devil over and over again. He was acknowledging the girl he had seen at the time of his death, the friend who had been in the car with him. He desperately needed to say he was sorry. Sorry for leaving behind so many people that loved him, so many friends and family that had suffered through his early passing. My friend was able to verify the information that I was giving her, and she said she would happily pass along the message to her husband, who had been his very close friend. The anniversary of the accident was the next month, and the drawing that she had illustrated. Those impressions come into her mind as she draws them. As I said, pick up Soulscapes and you'll understand what I'm talking about. Also, her book Giving Up the Ghost. What really shocked me was 2 years ago when I was first putting together the anthology Encounters with the Paranormal. My friend Adam Tillery, who had met years ago at a paranormal conference, and we'd kept in touch over the years of course, had offered to draw a number of illustrations for the book. He's a fantastic artist, so I gladly accepted, but what ended up happening completely took me by surprise. One of the first tales in this book is a story called James by Kathy Ash. James was a young boy from an era gone by that Kat had witnessed one evening, and here's part of her tale. I tried to call out to my sister, but found that I had no voice. I couldn't even make a whisper, so I reached out with my right hand and grabbed her by the shoulder and shook her as hard as I could. No matter how hard I pulled her back and forth, she wouldn't wake up. My first thought was that she was dead, and I was trying to get up to find someone when the shape became that of a young boy, about my own age. My fright kept me frozen to the bed. There was no color at all to the boy, just a milky white glow, and I could see that he was wearing a long shirt with ruffles around his cuff, ruffles at his neck, and his hair was long and pulled back with a ribbon. By this time the room was cold enough that I could see my own breath. I was shaking so hard that my teeth were chattering, and I was so frightened that my entire body was rigid. There's the illustration of James. And when Kathy saw this for the first time, she became very emotional because this is exactly the boy she had seen. Also within this book is my tale of the shadow person, which I have already described here on Friday Night Ghost Frights. But that illustration that I show within that video is also within this book. And Adam was spot on about the shadow person that I had seen in my room when I was about 8 or 9 years old. But back to Kathy for a moment. When she decided to write the book, My Life Amidst the Paranormal, I again enlisted Adam to draw illustrations for the book. And again, many of them were exactly as Kat had seen. And I'll give an example of one in a story called Fairy Feline. Just as I was about to walk away, something caused me to jump. The cat had leaped off the wall and started approaching me, but the eyes had changed from the reddish glow to a dark blue. So it wasn't an ornament after all. I called it my usual, "Hey, kitty, kitty," and it sat down, blinking and flipping its tail. I stood there on the dark sidewalk for what seemed like minutes, just staring at this strange cat, when my sister grabbed me by the sleeve of my coat, yelling, "Come on, I'm hungry and I'm cold." I looked in her direction, then looked back at the cat, and it was back on the wall. And this is an illustration of the very cat that Kathy had seen. Once again, Adam somehow channeling an event that happened years and years ago. Haunted Road Media is now publishing a second anthology of Encounters with the Paranormal, a volume 2. And so I have enlisted a number of writers and contributors to tell their stories, their encounters of the paranormal. Some of the same writers from the first anthology, and some are new. One of them happens to be Shauna Wankel, and she tells the story of an old cafe in Campsville, Illinois. At one point, there had been a tree on the site of this cafe, and a young boy who had climbed up fell, unfortunately, to his death. Shauna describes, in the book that is about to come out, her encounter with this boy, part of which I'll share with you now. For a second, I had to wonder if I was imagining what I was seeing, because standing before me was a small boy. He was about 5 or 6 years old, if I had to guess, based on his height and comparing it to my own young children. He had short, dark hair and the biggest, widest blue eyes I had ever seen on a child. There was most definitely intelligence alight in those eyes, as they tracked my every movement and watched me as I was watching him. When I shared with Shauna the illustration that Adam had drawn of the boy she called Byron, she got chills, because it was exactly the boy she had seen years ago. Somebody Adam could have never seen, but somehow captured within his illustration. Similarly, I have also written stories for this anthology. However, there is one I have not yet written, and that is the story of Annie from the Goldenrod Showboat. So I had Adam watch the Friday night Ghost Frights that told the tale of my experience with Annie. And from that, he drew who, in my mind's eye, when I was there at the Goldenrod and when I've thought about what Annie may look like when she blew in my ear, and when I've heard the tales of her unfortunate demise, it was a vagueness that had appeared in my mind. And in his illustration, which is not extraordinarily detailed, it captured that vagueness, those little parts of her that my mind did see. I'm not sure what it is that he tapped into with that. You can tell there's a darkness of hair, long, kind of pulled back maybe, some vague features around the nose and the eyes. Young girl, yet I have no doubt this is Annie that he has captured. Some form of remote drawing at its absolute finest. And Adam has shared more of those fantastic illustrations in his book, Mischievous, a collection of his own experiences and creepy tales. Thank you for watching Friday Night Ghost Frights. Please let us know what you think of our new show in the comments below. And if you have not yet, please subscribe. I'm Mike Ricksecker. Until next Friday night. I was young, very young, the night I was scared speechless. I'd like to put an age on it, perhaps 7, 8, or 9.